Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prem, and welcome to another episode of the Plush Jungle Show. Yes, we have recorded an episode after almost a year, and we truly regret the long gap. We will for sure try to not have such long gaps again. Now, as always, a fair warning is in order. This episode is quite long, for about more than 2 hours, and let's just say that we are trying to make up for the long gap. Now, I would suggest that you grab a cup of coffee, chai, or any of your preferred brew, as this episode is not just long, but an intense one too. And in the context of Hindu spiritual beliefs, you will encounter many Sanskrit and Hindi words. But please feel free to refer to the show notes, as for the most of them, we have got you covered with Google translated meanings to ensure a deeper understanding of our insightful conversation, making it a fascinating and an enriching experience for all. So, allow me to share a glimpse of our exceptional guest today, Rishi Aaradhakananda. A rishi, a brahmachari, a musician, a monk. From a heavy metal guitarist to a tabla and harmonium player. From a rock song artist to a bhajan and kirtan singer. He is an inspiration and a living example of positive life transformation for many. A life that is no less than extraordinary. Born in Brazil and raised in a family of musicians, he now lives as a monk in Germany. And of course, the travels that take him to various parts of the world. Rishiji is full of heart, love, and warmth, a sentiment that I can personally vouch for. And I'll share about that shortly in this introduction. His wisdom shines through every word and action, and I sincerely hope this episode truly reflects that essence. Rishiji has been a part of Bhakti Marga, a Vaishnava Sampradaya initiated by his guru, Paramhamsa Sri Swami Vishwananda, which focuses on Atma Kriya Yoga, realization of God and blessings through the path of bhakti, aka devotion. Singing bhajans, kirtan, and japam, which means reciting the name of God, are some of the integral aspects of their practice. They have numerous ashrams around the world, with the primary ashram located in Germany. For more details, you can visit www.bhaktimarga.org. I will repeat that, www.bhaktimarga.org. If I had to describe this episode, it has been one of the most intense and profound conversations on this podcast so far. Personally, it has been emotionally, mentally, soulfully elevating in many ways. And I'm at complete loss of words to express my gratitude to Rishiji for bearing his heart and holding nothing back. And for those who don't know, adding a G after someone's name is just a way of showing respect, especially when we are talking to or about someone who is an elder or a spiritual priest, monk, or guru. Now, coming back to Rishiji, I truly cannot thank him enough for dedicating his time not once, but twice for our show. Yes, this is just one episode. But during our initial recording, we unfortunately lost a significant portion, let's say more than half of the nearly 2 hour long episode. And this is when I experienced his warmth and grace, as I was feeling terrible to give him this disappointing news. Despite his busy schedule with travel, Guru Purnima, and preparation for a festival called the Just Love Festival round the corner, he remained understanding and flexible, allowing us to create a meaningful and an authentic conversation that we're excited to share with all of you. Now, just one more thing before we dive into that conversation. In a positive scenario, when humans connect at a deeper level for the first time, the bond flourishes in an unexplainable manner. However, to recreate or reshoot the same emotion is not always possible. So during our first recording, Rishiji sang a special devotional song while sharing a very important and emotional part of his life, which deeply moved me to tears. But we lost that part. So when we were recording for the second time, towards the end of the episode, I requested him to sing that song again. And it is with his permission that we have included that part in our podcast. And I also just want to clarify that I wasn't being insensitive. And knowing this backstory will just help you understand that part better. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Rishi Aaradhakananda on our podcast as we walk on a journey filled with insights, inspiration, and soul-stirring moments. Hi, welcome to the show, Rishi, and it's so amazing to have you, Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev Prem.
It's really nice that you made time for this. I'm really honored. that you're on the show here today with us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy also to come.
Thank you. Well, I'm pretty sure that we can take, this conversation into many different directions, as the topics are so many. There's so many varied topics that we can touch upon. But I would like to start with something which is like the pivotal moments in your life that made you the monk that you are today. I'm pretty sure that they started with something, and something that moved in your life. And I just want to ask you, like, first of all, what's the meaning behind Rishi Aaradhakananda, like, for people who would like to understand the name?
Yeah, some people, they need days until they learn how to pronounce my name. Even Indians, Aaradhaka. When I'm in Vrindavan, they say Aaradika because
Uh-huh.
Radha, Radhika,
Yeah,
Radhika. So they
yeah.
call me Aradhika. But actually, so Rishi is like a position, the spiritual title, given by my Gurudev in the sampradaya created by Gurudev in our organization in Bhakti Marga. So Bhakti Marga is in the Hari Bhakta Sampradaya, and Guruji was initiated in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. Then he became a Swami and he created his own Sampradaya. So in our tradition, we have Brahmachari. Like you can be initiated as a devotee, you get the Vaishnava devotee initiation. Then you can, if you wish, so you become a Brahmachari. And after Brahmachari, a Rishi. And after Rishi, a Swami. You don't decide by yourself. When Guruji is still here with us in this planet, he's the one who decides if you become Rishi or Swami. And that's all. And then in the future, we don't need to think about that now, but in the future, there'll be, of course, different processes. Like the Swamis will gather and decide and discuss and whatever. So the Rishi is basically, is like a brahmachari that wears red and has the extra blessing to teach and give the devotee initiation. So I have to talk about the path. I have to teach. It has been quite natural for me because even before, when I was a brahmachari, I was naturally doing that a lot, like talking, also using social media, and it somehow easily connects with the dharma of bhajan kirtan. So that's to the rishi word. So the Vedic Rishi means seer, somebody who knows, who observes the creation and sees everything is beyond. I'm not this Rishi, okay?
Yeah.
So I connected a little bit of knowledge, and Guruji is always in a hurry to push us. So that's all, but nothing to do with the Vedic Rishis, let's say, of course.
Okay.
And the name Aaradhaka or Aaradhakananda. So there's a word in Sanskrit, Aradhana.
Mhm.
Aradhana. The word Aradhana means basically the practice of bhakti, the practice of devotion. It's not bhakti in a theoretical sense, but to perform Aradhana is to perform a puja, to perform a ritual, to sing. That's all Aradhana is, the practice of bhakti.
Could you
So
also say, say, is it like a prayer? Like,
a prayer is Aradhana.
yes, yeah,
So
okay,
when you are doing a prayer, you are doing Aradhana.
right, okay.
So Aradhaka is the one who practices Aradhana. Like Sadhaka is the one who practices Sadhana.
Right.
Then because I'm a monk, we add Ananda in the end, which is divine bliss. So Aradhakananda is basically divine bliss in the practice of devotion, let's say.
That's amazing. Um, you mentioned brahmachari, just for the people who don't understand that. What do you, if you could just give us a little brief about brahmachari, what do you mean by that? Like, what is basically the meaning of that? Like, just in a, if you
Brahmachari
state it
is
as.
somebody who decides to leave the material world in that sense, that his life, his body, mind and soul is fully dedicated to God. So he gives up relationships, he gives up, he or she, having a family, and as far as possible, the normal outside work into dedicating their lives to an ashram that spreads the mission of the guru. I say to to its level best, because there is brahmacharis in Bhakti Marga, which are in some small towns, small villages that have been accepted to become brahmacharis. So they don't live in an ashram. So some of them keep some little work to maintain their livelihood, but all their seva, all their day, which is not inside of that work, they are constantly dedicated into the mission, whatever seva they are doing. So basically, brahmachari accepts my life is 100% for Gurudev's mission, for bhakti, and that's it. There's no compromise. There's no half. There's no splitting your day with something else, which is not directly the spiritual lifestyle.
Right. So like it's 100% devoted mindset towards the path that you are following, right?
Yes.
So yeah, getting back to from where it all started, the pivotal moments that, or the significant moment that, happened or occurred in your life that, took you to this monkhood that you're living today. If you could put a little light on that.
A little light, because the story is long.
We can talk for days. I'm prepared. I have my coffee.
I forgot to get a drink actually, but I drink a chai just before.
We can take a break in between.
If necessary, I'll tell you.
Yes, please.
Okay, how do we start? I mean, about becoming a monk. When I was young, I always had this kind of wish. For some reason, it was natural. As a little kid, I remember I told my mom I wanted to be either a monk or a musician when I grow up, and that's somehow I became both. My family is a musician family, so my father, my mom, now they're retired, but they're all musicians, and also many uncles, and they all took music as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I naturally took this path as well. When I was a teenager, for me it was clear. And as I grew up, the monk thing somehow stayed there in a little box in the corner, but I was not really putting it in practice, of course. As a Brazilian guy, I was having many girlfriends, going to the beach and everything. And but I had a strong spiritual side. So I met Guruji Swami Vishwananda in 2011, but already in 2006 I got initiated into Kriya Yoga. And I was already, even before that initiation, I was already reading and practicing, trying to study meditation and just researching a lot. And I made that my daily practice. That was for me already back then the most important thing of my life. Sometimes people from India write me on Instagram because they see the videos and stuff, and they write me, hey, when did you convert to Hinduism? And I say, look, it's weird for you if I say that, but I actually never converted.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was my first initiation. It was my first baptism.
Oh, okay.
Because when I was born, I was never baptized into Christianity or anything. Because my mom's side family was very leftist and
Mm-hmm.
kind of, my grandmother was like atheist, and she was like, let him grow up. When he's 18, he can decide if he wants a religion or not, in which religion he wants.
Right.
So even before that, I got Shaktipathi to Kriya Yoga, and I was practicing spiritual Hindu practice. And my belief was always naturally aligned with different streams of Hindu philosophy.
Okay.
And never really with Western philosophy. And you can easily have access to books and things like this. So my very first initiation or baptism was already Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
So I never converted in that sense. But so life moved on, and then I eventually met Guruji when I was already studying in Germany. And yeah, so I had a German wife back then. In 2011, when we met him, he basically was straight away a miracle personality. You can interrupt me if you want, because I'm going to tell you the story. I'm trying not to go too detailed, but I'm...
No, please go on. I mean, this is all about, talking in depth.
Yes. So when I met him, it was a very interesting moment because I met a monk of Bhakti Marga before, and this monk became a good friend of mine. His name is Swami Kanjalochana. He lives in Croatia now. He takes care of the ashram in the temple in Croatia.
Yeah.
But he used to live here in the ashram. So he became we went to a different festival and we met there, and he became a good friend of mine. So he told me, please come to visit me in the ashram in Germany where I live with my guru.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not interested because I was practicing the other practice that I had. And I said, I don't want to meet any guru, anything. I'm fine, but I will come for you. So when I came, I spent the whole day there, and Guruji didn't appear because he was traveling. We were not sure if he would appear or not. And then at the end of that day, he appeared, and I had some flowers somewhere with me. I quickly got this flower because I know if I go visit a Swami or an ashram, I should have something to give.
Yes.
So I was introduced to Gurudev with my first Brazilian name. They say, oh, look, this is Luis. He's from Brazil. He's a musician, this and that. And so basically, when Guruji came to me, he touched my hands. Like I told him, I brought these flowers for you. We came for your blessings. And then before he got the flowers, he touched my hand. And his hands were extremely hot. Like very weirdly, extremely hot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like he burned my hands quickly, and then he took the flowers. And my brain started to go crazy. Like I never experienced something like this before. Like never touched hands so hot like this. And it was just a little touch, like he was checking on me, something like this. And then I look into his eyes in this second of confusion, and his eyes were very big, like moving a little bit and a bit wet and red, like, and he was looking so deep inside of me. So my brain like exploded, like this guy is not a human being. So that was like in 2-3 seconds, and then he became normal again, and just had normal conversations with me of where are you from, this and that, what do you do. So we met Gurudev, and it was mind blowing. I took like maybe 1 month or 2 months processing. He's saying, my guru, what shall I do with it now? And I kept coming. I had already a ticket to India.
Okay.
When I met Gurudev, I had my first ticket booked already to go to India. Me and my ex-wife.
This was
So I
after
met
meeting
him.
him. Okay.
I met him, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I went to India. And I
And
spent one week in Varanasi, 1 week in Vrindavan.
in his ashram?
No, I didn't even know when I booked the ticket. I didn't even know Guruji had any ashram anyway.
Okay.
I just wanted to visit India, and she had the course to do, and I was just basically traveling. So when everything was interestingly connected. So anyway, when I went to Vrindavan, I randomly found a Gurudev devotee in the streets of Varanasi. And back then he didn't have many devotees in India. And then I went to Vrindavan. I had some really amazing experience. I remember having the darshan of Aaradhakananda. It was really, really touching. So I came back, and after going to India, I came back, and my heart has accepted fully him as actually my guru then. I remember once he came to me and said, you want to be a brahmachari, no? But I never talked to him about that at all. And then he said, Guruji, since a child, I always had this kind of wish, but that's it. He said, good, keep it for yourself. Keep it inside of you. Keep it leave it in your heart, something like this. And I understood back then that, okay, my outside dharma probably is to have a family, and I tried to have this ashram inside of my heart. That's how I understood it. And so when I went to India, it's an interesting story, okay? When I went to India, I was in Varanasi with my ex-wife, and we just entered some Shiva temple, a very ancient Shiva temple, but I just don't remember the name. I always have to Google a lot to find that temple again. but it's a very, very old. They say the Shiva Lingam is 4,000 years old, etc., etc. So we just entered this temple by the Ganga, and we randomly asked one of the priests, say, "Hey, can you marry us?" And the priest just said, "Okay." And we thought he would do some 10 minutes thing, but we spent like an hour doing mantras and rituals, and he even didn't ask for anything. In the end, we just gave him a dakshina, but he didn't even ask for anything. So he did. We just marry around the Shiva Lingam there, and
Okay, so you told him to make you get married again, kind of a thing.
yeah, because we were only officially legally married, but not spiritually.
Okay, so you okay.
And so I came back, and we also asked, because of the Western habits, we also asked to get 2 little rings done.
Mm-hmm.
And normally Indian married to have a ring, but we also got a ring. So when I came back to the ashram, the first thing Guruji saw here in Germany was that ring. So he saw this ring, and I thought it was a very spiritual, interesting thing that I'm marrying a Shiva temple, and Guruji was still a new thing for me. And all the interactions I had with him have been very positive and happy and nice. And it was the first time Guruji was unhappy with me. And I have many friends with Agrihastas, and Guruji fully supports their path, just make it very clear. But when Guruji saw this ring in my hand, he made a disgusted face. He made a very weird face. And I was like, why did Guruji make this face? But I could not understand it. So I put this experience somewhere in the corner of my brain, and I just kept there because I could not understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And then some months later, we discovered that my ex-wife was pregnant. And so I had a baby, we had a baby girl. And after 6 days, we realized she had a heart condition. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome is the name of it. So the left heart's a bit too small, and the right part of the heart makes the whole work. So when we discovered that, I remember the day. I don't want to describe the day actually, but for sure it was one of the hardest experience of my life. And Guruji was traveling; he was in the USA when we found out about the condition. I remember she was going from hospital to hospital until the doctors fully discover what is the condition exactly, why she's breathing like this. No? So she was moving from one emergency to another. And I was calling Guruji, and I remember me crying, saying, Guruji, something's going on. Apparently, it's a heart condition, this and that. And he was super calm on the telephone. He was like, oh, she's okay. She'll be fine. And I was thinking, you don't understand how serious it is. You're like super cool. And that's when I realized that in that day, in that moment, around when I was talking to him, he was actually saving her life from wherever he was. It's a crazy story, but days later, the head doctor of the place where she was staying, the university hospital in the city of Mainz, Germany, came to me and said, look, I have to tell you guys something. You are very, very lucky. Because when she was coming in the ambulance from that hospital to here, her heart stopped for so long that even her brain stopped flowing, or her blood stopped flowing, the craniosacral. So everything stopped. And when everything stops, we actually normally it doesn't come back. And if it comes back, there is consequences in the brain, everything. But protocol, we have to keep trying to reanimate.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly she came back. And we spent the day making tests, and there was no consequence on the brain or anything. And that was the exact moment when she came back to life, was the exact moment when I was in the phone with Gurudev. And Guruji was super cool. No, she'll be fine. And I understood that he has his hands there. And with time, he told us, he explained some spiritual wisdom on what was happening about karma from our families and my ex-wife's family. So she was supposed to have a very complicated life, but by Guruji's grace, she was super healthy after the first surgery. And we literally have 6 perfect, happy months as a family. And suddenly, on her 6 months, in January 2013, she was in the hand of the grandmother, and she left her body. Just like this. She breathed. There was a 1% chance that the shunt, the artificial little plastic shunt that was in her heart, eventually closed. And in the future, she would have to make another surgery to remove this artificial shunt. And that 1% or less chance, out of nowhere, happened on the arms of the grandmother. And Guruji, months before, said one of the reasons she chose to come like this is to take karma from the mother's family. So it was crazy. Like it's one of the most difficult things that one can ever experience in life. And I had this, having Guruji on my side, and how can I? He gave me the strength to live that, like with power, like with understanding. But I also had to fully feel those feelings. I could not neglect it. So it was very, and everything with Guruji, he basically made a miracle in the beginning, and he kept supporting us, and then suddenly this happens. And then he was also almost emotionless when she passed away. Like, Guruji, only you can do something. The doctors give up. No, it's time for her to go. Like nothing is happening, and it was, yeah, a normal human being cannot be like that and handle situations like he was doing with us. And after that, we had some time, and my ex-wife was not happy, and I was just serving more and more in the ashram, and the feeling of going back to family life and restarting again was finished. I was 27 or 28, something. And for me, it was a cycle that was finished. Like, I experienced everything in this world. I worked, I traveled. Sometimes I made some money. That was okay. For everything, I had a nice car, big rented house, and I had a red wife and kid. And now the cycle finished, and I have my guru here. What choice I make now? I go fully for my Guruji. I didn't want to go back into having to pay insurance, having to pay car, have to pay house, and be so gross on those things, taking so much energy from our life when I can dedicate myself to my Gurudev. So for me, it was a clear sign, but I kept this for myself because I didn't want to hurt my ex-wife. That was losing a baby, and then would lose a husband. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So, and then she was still having her process because it was not easy, obviously. And Guruji suggested to her, hey, you should go to Vrindavan, only her, and live in Vrindavan ashram for some time. He knew that she loves the Vrindavan vibe, the sort of, the way of, the kind of bhakti they have there. And she loves it very much. So she went there, and after a short time, she wrote Gurudev asking to become a brahmacharini.
Yeah.
And then after she got initiated, Guruji just looked at me and said, okay, now you can. He didn't ask me, do you want to become a brahmachari? We never asked. That was always there. We never had to talk about it. So he just turned to me and said, now you can. And then I became a monk. So that's how I became a monk, in short. And after that initiation, I remember that feeling of understanding Guruji's face when he looked at my wedding ring.
Yeah.
It took from 2011 until 2015, 4 years. And then I understood Guruji's face when he saw that I made that spiritual commitment of our marriage. I said, okay, I could read now in his eyes what was it there, that he was basically telling me, okay, now you have to go through this karma, you have to go through this cycle, you have to go through a little family, to a little disaster, a big disaster in the outside world, and then you can come to me. You could have come quicker, but now you have to go through all of this. So now, and then I understood his reaction when he saw the wedding ring. So that's how I became a monk in May 2015.
Right. Yeah, that was very intense. And thank you for sharing these very deep and emotional sentiments, as well as the thing that happened with you.
Do you have family, Prem?
No, I am not married yet. um, but I do sense the kind of emotions you must have been through, because I've been through a failed marriage. So So I understand the issues there. But um, just so that I don't want to get deeper into your personal life, but since we're talking about this, and if you're comfortable, you can let us know if you. This is for people who would like to get into the monkhood, or they are trying to understand if they want to go in that direction. Um, since you have been married and you had a relationship, do you ever get this inclination again to go back, or to have any kind of do you have any kind of, even like a 1% or a 2% inclination towards your ex-wife, or you feel like you want to go back, just so that we know how sustainable it is? I know it's to each its own, like everybody is different, but just
Mhm.
if you can put some light on that.
It is a very good question. Um, I would say no. I will not say I have that perfect mind control that Krishna talks on chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, but I don't have any wish or intention of inclination of going back into family life. It doesn't mean that my brain sometimes doesn't see something gets attracted, but
Right.
it's enough for me to quickly understand that the consequences of that are by far not what I want. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, let's say in the past you used to drink wine, and maybe you look at wine and think, oh, that will be a tasty wine, but I totally don't want to get drunk and lose the day in the next, and lose the next day, maybe vomit in the night, and no,
Yeah,
you know that everything in life comes with the package,
yeah,
and we
everything is.
only see the beautiful gift paper outside, but we forget that there's a big package with a lot of different content that you're not expecting, that you don't count with. And being very aware of that, I'm clear that I don't want to go back to grihasta life or family life, not at all. But I need to say that for me to have this clarity, it's because of Guru Kripa. I could not give myself the credits of that strength,
Right.
because every time the mind weakens, Gurudev is there to even before I realize I'm gonna do something that's not good for me, he's already there, knowing my step before I even do it, and correcting me and saying things that I understand later on. And so I feel bad for the future monks that are not gonna have Guruji here in life, but I'm quite sure he'll find his ways to guide everyone.
Right.
But I know that for me is relatively easy
Yeah.
because he is there. and
Yeah.
and we just have to understand the nature of the mind. You need to know what you really want in life. You need to know what you have to do to get that you really want in life, and understand the consequences of each exit. And nothing that you do has no consequences. So if you have these things clear in your life, you're not gonna move into a not wanted direction. That's it. So I have a clear aim in my life. I don't want to compromise that.
Do I have a clear goal in my life, or a way of life? We will get back to this in a short bit. I'll just put a note to that, because I wanted to ask you that question. If some people who don't have a goal or don't have a clarity on what they want to do, then how they can do that, or how they can get that clarity. But I will get back to that shortly. But before that, could you tell us a little more about when you were getting into monkhood, or when you thought you would become one? Did you ever discuss this with your family? Were they supportive of this? Because normally when you talk about monkhood, people always look at it in a very different way. They kind of,
Mm.
I wouldn't say entirely negative, but sometimes yes, negative as well. But they're also like not very supportive of the person who wants to become a monk, because it's about detaching yourself from people, detaching yourself from material things and stuff like that. So they're probably, the family either is very
Mm.
afraid of it, or they kind of oppose it. So how was your story into that?
So it was so perfectly aligned that there was no issue. In a different phase of my life, if I would have told them that would have been different. but the way that things happened, the way that all my family actually became Guruji's devotee already before I became a monk, they had themselves so much trust and love for Gurudev that that was no issue at all. That was a very natural thing. After they all experienced the passing of their granddaughter and that they met, also they came here to Germany to see her and everything. And the way that Guruji handled it, they even loved Guruji more. They could have been all angry because Guruji is a miracle man. Like, oh, you could have healed her forever, and she could have, but they saw the miracle that Guruji did, nevertheless, and how he handled and helped us when she passed. And because actually my family, they are quite experienced in life, they're not spoiled people, they have lived a lot through a lot of things. So they became even more fans of Gurudev after everything. So when that moment arrived, they were just happy for me. They were just I I never had to have the discussion or that specific conversation with them and ask for permission or anything. It was a very natural thing. But for sure, if there was that would have happened 5 years, 10 years before, would be very different. So things have been prepared for that.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it is no coincidence at all how everything happened.
Do you think it's I mean, it's in a way sad that people kind of have to oppose this at times. Do you think they should be allowed freely to take the path that they want to and choose freely?
Yes. I mean, it's difficult for me to get angry with people about that because I fully understand their ignorance. That's zero understanding about the self in a spiritual way. For people in the world, the only thing that exists is the outside life. Is only the material world. Is a job. They know that job is not going to be forever. They know mother, father, brother, sister, daughter, son is not going to be there forever. But everybody lives ignoring that because they are so afraid of whatever might be after. And in that mental condition, it's sad, but I have to understand them, how people in the world see this. Like that's everything that exists for them. Is their family and friends that they know that are gonna die, but they don't want to think about it. And that's all, isn't it? That's life.
Yeah.
If people would read and study, I would say, sometimes when we just go to the books and read and study, and then people think, oh, you're a fundamentalist, you're a fanatic. So don't do only that. Go inside the train, go in the car, and go meet a saint. Don't need to be a saint in title, some big swami with name and stuff. So go to places where you can meet people who live that and feel the vibration, feel the energy of being in the presence of somebody like that. And only that is going to give you from inside out a different understanding of life. Of course, when you have proper understanding of Mahabharata, Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishads, naturally you're going to do that. But nowadays, if you just talk about that, people think, oh no, you're just like a Hindu fundamentalist and this and that. And it's nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
The secrets are all there, but you need somebody that lives that to inspire you to really understand those things. And people don't have this bridge. That's why, unfortunately, I do understand their fear towards this, because they think that a monk is just ignoring life and living imaginary thing,
like trying to live a comfortable life without doing too much,
or just running away from the challenge of the world, even though but it's totally the opposite. It's totally the opposite. When we understand that we don't come to this planet to create more karma, but we come here to free ourselves from bondage and karma.
right?
And that freedom is gonna make you actually ultimately free yourself from suffering, from mental misery, from original expectations, from bad expectations that make you suffer, and through that you'll be able to have spiritual experiences that are gonna open your mind to what really is reality beyond the material existence. So without that understanding, how can anyone understand the life of a monk? You know?
Yeah. Like living or trying to spend some days or time with some saints or some monk around can help people,
Yes.
understand that as well. Of course, I'm not trying to promote to that people should become monk, everybody should become, but what if some people who, kind of want to live in the normal life and still have some kind of spiritual inclination, or they want to just, experience the positive side of spirituality, or, kind of include that into their lives in whatever way they can, in a small way. It doesn't have to be
Mm.
that they have to turn into a monk, but if they have if they want to become a monk but they can't for some reason, or they're attached to something, do you think there's still a way for people and they can still continue with the spiritual journey?
100%. That has to be very clear. And that's also what you learn in the Bhagavad Gita. The real renunciation is not outside, it's inside. The real one. You can be in the ashram and be so attached to the deity that you have, the fancy deity that you like, that holds you and doesn't make you grow. So attachment can be in different way, different forms. The ideal devotee is free wherever he is. So you can live those principles as a monk or as a married person, and I think your dharma will be just naturally be revealed by your internal inclinations. It's going to be shown to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 100%. Nobody should ever think that you need to give up family, material life in order to attain God and to have the vision of Bhagavan. You can have all of that by being a family man. As you see, obviously, by many of the saints, they are not monks. Tukaram was married.
Tukaram, yes, okay.
Tukaram was married. Gorakumbha was married. Namdev was married. Mirabai, she left the husband. Also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the first. But you're gonna find both examples. So many
Right,
amazing saints and
right.
King Janak, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So they all could, with the right mindset, be in the world and don't get dirt by the word. That's how you should live.
Could you
So
repeat that for us again? What did you just say?
you live in the world, but you don't get dirt. You stay clean.
Okay. Okay,
That's
it's like the lotus, like it grows
grows in the
within,
mud.
yeah, grows in the mud. Um, so it's all
They
about
say
inside. It's not
they
about the
say you
outside.
should be. They say you should be like a boat. A boat is on the salt water
Mm-hmm.
and it floats. But if the water goes inside the boat sinks. So the sea is the word. You are the boat. You have
Right,
to. You can be on the sea, but never forget your essence and what you are, and then you can always float. But
right.
if you let the word go inside of you, and then you sink, because your mind gets destroyed. You become miserable.
It's That was a great way of explaining that. I just want to come back to, you mentioned the sixth Bhagavad Gita's sixth verse. I think the sixth chapter or the sixth verse.
Sixth chapter.
Sixth chapter six. Okay. Um, could you give us a? Okay, it's always with you. Um,
Chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga. He's talking about meditation
okay.
and talking about the nature of the mind. I remember on 636, I like very much when he says, it's very difficult, very, very hard to control the mind, but it is possible. Close by, he says, it's difficult to control the mind, just as it is difficult to control the wind. But with the right practice, with the right willingness, it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gives, Krishna gives on chapter 6 different tips and exercises on how we can fix the mind in one place to practice dhyana meditation. So that's the chapter 6 about meditation. So I was talking about the mind. Is the chapter that mostly handles the mind, talks about what is the mind.
Right.
And that this is the main issue, I believe, of people nowadays, is they think that their mind, their thoughts are themselves. But you are not their mind. You are not that. You are not your mind. Understand that if you can observe your mind, what is that that is observing? If you are the mind, you cannot observe the mind. So you are not your mind. The mind has its own processes and tendencies. But understand that you are something else beyond the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know the mind is a tool that you have to learn to control. Like you have to learn to control the horse that you are riding.
Right.
If it's an uncontrolled horse, it's gonna bring you to the wrong place, gonna make you have an accident. If you control that horse, you can travel whole of India in a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the mind. It's a tool,
Okay.
not more than that.
Right. Um, as I was saying, I'm going to get back to that question. What if someone does not has a clear goal or a clear, like a clarity of mind, like where they want to get? So sometimes you're so confused. You're confused between the material world, the spiritual world, and so many things keep happening. Sometimes you're not clear about which direction you want to go in your career or in whatever thing that you want to do. Do you think
Yeah,
there is a way to get a clarity on that? Like, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
that is this is one of the main things in the world nowadays.
Yeah, but yeah.
I see in my nephew and niece and young people, it's different now. Before it was easier. You have a field, you do some work outside, you have this natural gratification from the animals that you work with, from the crops that you work on, from the little work. But now the digital world is different, and people are a bit aimless and they don't know what to start. They have so much fear, like families don't want to have kids because of the career, or you don't want to have the career because of the family. And what my Guru Dev said is, first have an aim. If you're not a spiritual person, you need one aim, not to fall into depression. So first choose something, whatever it is, even if it's outside your work and study, even if your aim is to be a good football player on the weekends, but have a clear aim that moves you, that makes you move from day to day, that inspires you, something that inspires you and makes you keep moving. If you're able to understand that that aim is the highest aim, if you understand the relationship between the three realities, Atma, Paramatma, and Prakriti, basically creation. If you understand the relationship between soul, God, and material creation, and the only real aim of the soul is to reunite itself with God in consciousness, in love, in service, and then you're gonna naturally go for that. But if this is a bit too far and hard to understand, or you don't agree with it, it's very important that you tell yourself that you need to move towards something that inspires you. If this is not there, the natural consequences of life, of the mind, is to be depressed and not motivated to do anything. And what comes from that is destruction. Is really a destruction human lifestyle. I
Right.
think you agree. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, of course. I
What do you
mean,
think?
um, yeah, for me as well, like sometimes I do get distracted by a lot of different things. As you said, in the digital world, it's very easy to get distracted by many other things. And it's one of the main causes that we sometimes lack clarity of mind because we see a lot of other people, we see a lot of other things on the social media and internet, and then we get distracted from our goals. But that was like the second part of my question was like, how do one maintains the flow towards that goal? Like sometimes you're very fixed on that goal for a few days or few months, and then sometimes it just get derailed, or you get distracted by something else. Like sometimes you just need to keep your goals fixed in front of you, or
Mm-hmm.
are there something that when you were trying to get into the monkhood, did you have any kind of practice or anything like that you did for for to staying in that lane and not get deviated by something.
We have so many practices. Like we keep busy here.
Yes, I'm
Uh,
sure.
that's and that's actually the secret is to keep your mind busy with good things.
Right.
Don't have too much time doing nothing because that's always when the mind becomes negative.
Hmm.
And until you actually control your mind and your tendencies and your gunas, when you are doing nothing, it's always when negativity comes.
Right.
So I always, even before, there's three practices that are constant and daily. One is Atma Kriya Yoga. So this is pranayama and meditation with a focus on bhakti. Second is japam. I do at least an hour a day. I can break it throughout the day
Hmm.
with the mantra that Guruji gave me.
Right.
And third is puja Abhishekam. I do Abhishekam to my deity, and the deity was also given to me by my Gurudev. He actually manifested it.
So it's like a statue of Lord
Yeah, it's
Vishnu, I
Lakshmi
guess.
Narayana.
Lakshmi Narayan. Okay.
Yeah.
When you say Atma Kriya, is it a way to learn that, or can someone learn that without having a initiation by a guru or something?
Yeah, we have like 200 teachers.
Okay.
They all got Shakti. They got specific Shakti path from Gurudev to teach. The initiation comes from him. The teachers are only tools. I can also teach myself. If you go bhaktimarga.org/communities, you'll find in those communities around the world whatever teacher you have closer to you. In
Okay.
India, many,
Hmm.
many Mumbai, a lot of people doing it nowadays. In Vrindavan, you find Delhi,
Hmm.
Himachal Pradesh, there is some people as well doing it.
Right.
Around Pune.
Okay.
In fact, you are in Pune now, no?
Mumbai.
Mumbai? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, because a close devotee of Gurudev passed away some days ago
Okay.
on the day of Ashadi Ekadashi.
Yeah. On the day of Ekadashi. Okay.
Yeah, and it was the day when you have our call. You tried. Um, she actually on that night
Oh.
she was sick for some time, and then she asked Guruji, Guruji, I'm ready now, and Gurudev said, tomorrow is a good day, and she actually passed the next day,
Oh. Okay.
which was an Ashadi Ekadashi, and she was spreading a lot of Guruji's mission and everything, and tomorrow morning we're gonna have like a Zoom meeting with many devotees and sing bhajans. She was Maharashtrian, very nice,
Okay.
Vidya ji, very beautiful life actually.
And she was kind of ill, or she was an old woman.
Yeah, she was fighting cancer for 4 years maybe. It
Okay.
was for a while.
Okay. And you think she so I mean, this is another miracle, like kind of asking Guruji, it's a good day, and he knows that she's gonna like pass away tomorrow. Or it does. Do you guys kind of discuss this with your Guruji? Like, how has he ever, how can he foresee all this?
Yeah, he just knows it from inside out.
Yeah. Just something that
I
cannot be explained. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows it from inside out, and devotees, like the close devotees of Guruji, for some reason they always pass away in some auspicious days.
Okay.
Always, always, always.
Just so that people who don't know about this, if you can explain Ekadashi, like what is this day? It's a day of fasting, which I know.
Ekadashi is a day of fasting. It happens 2 times a month. Is when the moon is the furthest. No, that's actually it's around the days when the moon are furthest from planet Earth in its cycle, and it's a very auspicious days for the human body and spiritually for the mind as well
Mhm.
to fast and recover and
Right.
they say you burn a lot of negativity and many things happen. Krishna talks about Ekadashi on the Srimad Bhagavatam and recommended Mahabharata and everything. So it's a highly recommended practice. Anyway, fasting is great for your body anyway.
Yeah.
And it means Ekadashi because it's the 11th day after the new moon.
Okay.
That's all.
Right. Um, of course, when you talk about japam is like reciting a mantra or sitting down in
Yes.
a posture, in a proper posture, and then doing the meditation. Is that what you mean by japam, right?
You don't need to sit down in a posture. You can, and it's nice. But if you're walking, you can also do walking. You can, if you're
Okay,
sitting in a car in the bus, you can also do it.
okay, it's like reciting a mantra inside your mind or inside your.
Can be inside or outside. Can be likita japan, but it's
Okay,
basically the repetition of the mantra. So your mind, to make your mind start repeating the mantra naturally one day without any effort.
right.
Because we understand the power of mantra. The mantra is the name of God itself.
Hmm.
It's God Himself. So when you feel yourself with the mantra, when the mantra becomes natural to you, you allow His grace to be constantly flowing through you. So your mind weakens and He takes over. That's the power
Right.
of the mantra.
But this is also initiated by a guru. This mantra is given to someone by a guru, right? Like you always need someone to initiate you with the
Yeah,
mantra.
you can look. You can practice the mantra. The two main mantras that we practice first, Om Namo Narayanaya.
Mhm.
That's the Ashtakshara mantra, the original Vaishnava mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya, and the other one, Shri Vithala Giridhari Parabrahmane Namaha. So these two mantras, they are open. You can take and practice. But when you become initiated, something gets unlocked. There's a different relationship between you and the name of God in that moment. And also it's a much stronger experience.
Mhm.
One has to experience in order to know it, but it's not an offense. It's not prohibited to chant the mantra if you didn't have the initiation. On the opposite, we even recommend people, hey, try 40 days. We have something we call the project mantra.
Okay.
So you take the challenge yourself of doing 40 days every day, writing your experiences, writing your evolution, let's say, in the practice, and then in the end, if you complete, we give you like a little armband or something like this. And normally people have really beautiful experiences when they
Okay.
take this upon themselves.
Yeah, it's like a great push to start with something.
Mm,
So that's going to be like a revolution for them or change their course in life.
yeah.
Of course, puja anybody can do anywhere with the
But you
god
have to
they.
learn. You have to learn those, of course. Some little things. If you are not vegetarian, please don't. Unless, I mean, if you are serving a deity which is Narayana Tattva, Krishna, Narayana, Rama, Lakshmi, Radharani, like also, don't. If you're not vegetarian, you're not supposed to worship them or serve them directly.
Okay.
Um,
You need to be a
if
vegetarian, and there are a
you
few.
gotta shower before. If you
Yeah,
ate if you ate garlic or onion and you are reciting the mantras, you're actually just spitting garlic on the deities. It's not that
okay,
nice.
okay.
So
There are a few. Yeah, there are
there's
these
some
these.
little rules everybody can do, but
Yeah,
take
yeah,
some lessons, take a class.
yeah, yeah. They can always join the Bhakti Marga
Yes, exactly.
and then learn, or whichever deity or whichever guru they believe in, they can follow
Yeah.
from them. Um, Coming back to a little more lighter questions, I want to ask you, like, since you were a musician, and I think when we were talking before we recorded this, you also told me about how you were a musician and used to play for a heavy metal rock band, and how you used to be in totally opposite lifestyle,
Yes.
I would say, which was very Western culture. And um, could you give us a little brief about that, and then we will get into how this change happened with you in terms of wearing clothes and changing your clothes from jeans, t-shirts, and getting into this traditional way of India or
Yeah.
Hinduism, I should say.
The heavy metal is an interesting thing because when I was 13, I started playing guitar, and then first it was the musical thing. Like it was very nice to play this guitar with distortion and practice to play fast. And I have these friends that would learn with me and practice with me. And there's this healthy teenager competition who is playing better, in the building,
Yeah,
people who live in that street,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that was a very nice thing. And then it went deeper together with some philosophical questions that I had to myself. And I had some, let's say, mentally a very negative phase, and I decided to stop believing or following the positive ways of the world, because everything for me is just like a angry teenager would usually do. But this brought me to a kind of depression. So I did experience some depressive state of mind for 2-3 years.
This was while you were in Brazil?
Yeah, in Brazil. And I was playing heavy metal and using drugs and drinking and going out with people who had everything we would talk about would be negative. They're nice people, have
Yeah.
fun, but very negative and negative habits. And sometimes there will be fights with gangs and people on the street that will be close by and always saved by an inch, not to get punched in the face or thrown down by the cliff or something like this. It was a wild life, in some streets of a Brazilian metropole.
I especially wanted to get this mentioned because I want people to know the transition from
Yeah.
this street life to this monkhood that you live in. Yeah.
And then I remember being very depressed. And this brought me to a state of deep negativity. And one day, something happened inside of me. So I remember I didn't have this willingness to eat, didn't have the willingness to do things. Only when I would be with my metal friends playing guitar. Everything else was negative towards my family, everything. But something inside of me suddenly, from one day to another, awoke. And that's why I recognize that we don't have actually the control of our life. So most of it, we believe we have control of something. We can mess up a lot. But when the good things happen, it's always something that that is given to us.
Right.
I literally woke up one day and I was fed up with my own negativity and depression. Literally. I was just like, I'm fed up. I will change now. I don't want to be like this anymore. And from that day on, things started to change. And I also changed my friends circle and things that I was doing. I became just more positive life, and I became a vegetarian. When I was 16, I became vegetarian and got initiated into Kriya in 17 and started to read. I remember the autobiography of a yogi from Yogananda was the first book I read that just made me travel out of this world. It was so amazing. I was crying reading this book and was waiting for that thing, to that feeling. It's like my whole life I was waiting for this heart feeling where the heart is warm due to longing to God. Like you feel I love God so much and I don't know why. That's awoken after this realization that I was fed up with my own mind state. And all this happenings were guiding me a step ahead until I finally met my guru in life. But yeah, so
the first book that you read was
rough.
of your guru. Is the first book that you read, Life of, what was the name of the book again?
It's the first book that totally blown my mind.
Okay, well, you had read earlier different books.
Yeah, the autobiography of a yogi from Paramahamsa Yogananda. Everybody knows that. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, this is just for people who probably have not read anything in this context. We're definitely going to put all the names and everything that you're mentioning in the show notes, but yeah, just for people who want to hear right now. The autobiography of a yogi, and so this changed a lot of things for you and stirred a lot of things in your mind.
Yes.
And yeah, and this was when you were there in Brazil and you read this book, and then okay. Did you ever thought of, like, because you came to Germany and then I think you said after a few years you kind of came to Guruji after coming to Germany. Did you ever think that you wanted, since you read the book, you would want to contact this person, or was there any kind of inclination, or this just all happened on its own?
Wait, contact which person? The person who gave me the book?
No. This book was written by
Yogananda. Yogananda, he passed away in the 60s. No, 50s.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought this was your Guruji, because Vishwananda also has the
His
Nanda at the end.
Paramahamsa title. Yeah, he also received the Paramahamsa title.
Yeah.
Yogananda, he was one of the first Indian gurus that actually came to the USA.
Okay.
I think first was Vivek. I mean, from the famous ones, there had been others in between. But first was Vivekananda, then was Yogananda, then was Prabhupada. All Bengali people, because Calcutta was
Okay.
the capital of India back then. The British India, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I read this book and it totally blew my mind. And I did get in contact with other people. And I started playing tabla and doing some bhajan and practicing meditation because of this book, because there was a little spiritual community around that tradition in my city. So they had a house there where they would do events 4 times a week. So they borrowed me tabla and harmonium. And I just learned some tabla. I was already a musician playing guitar and going to music school my whole life. So it was not hard, just some tage, na tum, na ka, ding, na. What's going
Could you
on?
repeat that? That was good. I mean, you were playing tabla.
I was playing, I learned some introduction to tabla, and I learned to play harmonium when I was 16. Yeah,
Right.
that's where I started.
Um, so since I know this is in your family, music is in your family, so it was not very difficult for you to learn these instruments. It was probably already there in your skills. Um, and then you came to Germany, and then this transition from, of course, you told us how you became a monk, but I'm pretty sure this must be one of your questions in your mind, like how you're going to change these clothes. And I mean, this must be a hindrance for you, because I'm sure it's not like we all are carefree. Like, okay, you know what? Like tomorrow, I'm just going to start wearing dhoti kurta and start wearing these traditional clothes, and I'm not going
And
to care
so
about
many tusi malas and
it.
tilak in the face.
We're going to get to the tilak very soon, but that's one of the questions in my
I
mind
have
right
such a interesting hairstyle.
now.
Cannot see the light of the shika.
um, it's very interesting for sure. But did it like were you uncomfortable first? Like, what was your thoughts? Like, did you have any uncomfortable
The very
feeling?
first times I put it on, it was funny. It was sometimes you go to a gasoline station and people look weird at you, and then it's a bit uncomfortable. But it's funny thing because when I started wearing dhoti, kurta, and things like this, it was in Germany already.
Yeah,
I
sure.
would wear some simple kurtas, but with some trousers. In Brazil, it's more neutral. But in Germany, I found Gurudev, and it has this big ashram and monks, and it was much stronger. And it was part of the culture. Even before you were a monk, you come to the event, most of the people just put a dhoti on. And funny enough, like, so first I realized, okay, if I walk around like this, some people in the streets of Germany, they look a bit weird at me. And then I observed a bit properly, and I realized people look weird at people anyway. Mainly in Germany, they love to look weird at people and look at angry at people and complain about anything you do anyway. So even if you have the right clothes and you have the perfect hairstyle, they're gonna complain about something that you are doing in the streets. Because Germany. So that was a good thing to realize. So don't overthink it. Be natural.
Yeah. Okay.
And so yes, there was a little bit of shyness in the beginning.
Right.
Once I become a monk, that become a natural being. Not that I don't know that this is not my soul, this is just an outside cloth, but it has its importance, it has its function. That function, I understand it's significant. If I don't wear it, my mind changes. And also how people see me change. And I have a function in society as a monk, just like a fire worker has a function, like a doctor. You cannot recognize those people, and this is important for society. It's important for people to know, look, there's a person there who's giving his life to God.
Right.
And this hits in the shake the words of somebody who doesn't even think about this possibility. And sometimes I'm traveling like this, and somebody who has some crazy issue in life and is really like desperate of some advice randomly approaches me, or just curious, hey, why are you dressed like this? And because of this, you can start conversations about spirituality, about the soul, about mantra, about Guruji, about his mission, about anything that will help the person. So I'm actually very happy that this is part of my life, because I assume an identity, and you change from outside in and from inside out. Both is supporting each another.
Right.
But it's not so bad. I mean, for sure there is people who suffer more than me because of wearing this kind of things. I don't care much.
Right. I mean, yeah, because if you would be wearing this in India, I can still understand that people know that you have these people
Yeah.
in the spiritual world. But in places like Germany and all that, where it's not so famous, or I would say it's not so prominent, it becomes difficult, and you get a lot of eyeballs rolling around you. But I think
it is old enough that people can categorize in some box that they have in their minds. You know, because of the hippie time in the 60s, 70s, and then the Hare Krishna's ISKCON, which is very different from our organization. But they already came to Germany also, and all over the world in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So people see me. It's not that they have no idea what is going on. They put,
of course, yes, yeah,
they put me in some box, even though most of the time is the wrong box.
right. The thing is that, since you said that it's kind of now become a part of you, it's always helping you. People can recognize you as a monk, and they come to you. They find you. Have you got many experiences like that? People come and talk to you. They kind of ask you questions and
many. I mean, almost every travel. When I just go to the supermarket here close by, less because people are more used to it. But when I'm in the train station, in the airplane, or in the airport, it's very common actually.
Okay. Yeah. What is the significance of the tilak, which I was going to ask you, but as always, being a monk, you foresee my questions.
So that's the tilak here. The first part, we split it into 4 pieces. First of all, the tilak is the banner of your spiritual belief. Okay.
Right.
if I'm walking like this in a religious Indian city, just by looking at the elements of my tilak, people know exactly what I mean, more or less what I believe. In essence, they know exactly actually, like the most important points. Like if I'm like this in Ayodhya, in Vrindavan, in Sri Rangam, in Tirupati, in Rishikesh, they look at the tilak and they know exactly how do you believe that God is, more or less your tradition by the tilak. So that's the first thing of the tilak. So you can break this tilak in 4 pieces. The first piece is the Vishnu Padam, which is the feet of the Lord, the feet of God. Okay? Actually symbolize both feet. It's like I have both of his feet in my face. Mainly, I belong to him. Boom. Like this body belongs to him. I'm always bowing down to his feet. I am an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. This is made of chandan. Chandan can be either sandalwood from the tree or clay, earth from a sacred place. So Vishnu Padam, and then you have the Tulsi leaf. Tulsi is the plant that everybody knows, a very special plant. Even Christianity is called the holy basil. The Orthodox Christians, they also use it, just like Hindus. Yeah.
Okay.
In front of the icons of Christ in the big monasteries of the Orthodox Church, there's always holy basil.
Okay. It's fascinating. I did not know this. Okay.
In fact, if you study Christianity, you see that how they found the cross of Christ was because, what was her name? I like studying this stuff. Saint Helena, she went to the place where Christ was crucified. So all the criminals were crucified there. It was a disgusting place full of crosses and blood and bones. One place there was holy basil. And then she digged on that place, and there she found the cross by the Tulsi. So Tulsi symbolizes devotion.
Okay.
And on the devotion, on the seat of devotion, you have the bindu, the guru dot. It symbolizes the guru, which is the center for spiritual life. Without the guru, you don't have nothing.
Yeah.
And the red line is Mahalakshmi. She is the eternal consort of Narayana. She is the female aspect of God, let's say like this, and she's the one who, because she already has the relationship of being close to God, she intercedes, she brings you closer to him. She's the one who can give you the qualities to make you close to him,
Right.
to make you dear to him. Lakshmi also here symbolizes the material creation, the material world. So it's like the attachment to the world that gradually disappears when you're on the spiritual path. So these are the four elements of
Okay.
of our Vaishnava Tilak. There's the Bhakti Marga Vaishnava Tilak. The Vaishnava Tilaks, they're always with this U shape because they always have Vishnu Padam.
Okay.
And Saivite Shiva, they actually Advaitin. Saivite Tilaks, they only are the three lines that symbolize you going beyond the three gunas. Then they have the Smartas, normally they just put something on the face. And Ganapatas and Shaktas, they put just the red dot, and they have all the variations there.
Okay. So basically, it's like, as you said, it's like a outdoor banner, and it's like an advertisement for your spirituality.
Some people put their cap and they're carrying out Nike. I'm carrying God.
Oh, that's great. But do you think that spirituality needs to have a religion or something like that? It can be. Can it be without religion? Can it be kept away from the word religion in a way? Because I think religion gets a lot of people get worked up when they listen to the word religion, or it's in totally different ways they kind of take it.
First question is, when you make this question, what is the idea that you have of religion? What does religion here means in this question?
For me, it's just a generic word religion. When people hear the word religion, it's for them, or for me, let's say, even I'm in the world. So I kind of, for me, it's like casteism, religion, which sect you believe in,
Okay.
what, like Hinduism, Christianity,
it feels to me that when you ask like that, you are implying that somebody has, the question is, do you need to be part of a religious institution?
Right. Like
and belong to a certain group.
Right.
No, you don't need that to practice spirituality. Obviously not.
Okay.
But the original meaning of the word religion, it comes from the Latin religare, Latin, which means reconnect. So religion, from the Latin, ancient language from Central Europe, it means actually to reconnect. So it's to connect you back to your essence, to your divine essence. So if you go to the original meaning of the word, and then there's no difference from spirituality.
Right.
You're just practicing something to find back your essence, searching for that essence. But no, you don't need. But if you don't look, if you try to be by yourself out of ego, out of pride, because I don't need anyone, me by myself, I'm God fully, I have God fully inside of me, I don't need to bow down to any other human being, I don't need anything. If you have this prideful thinking inside of you, it's going to be much more difficult to attain what you want to attain.
Right.
That state that you want to attain. So with religion or without, spirituality requires something called humility. Without humility, you are very far away. You can have nothing but have humility. God will run to meet you. If you have everything and you don't have humility, you are stinky. God will be far away from you.
Right. It's like you need to understand the power of surrendering in a way. Could you give us a little insight about, Guruji and not in particular Guruji, but I would say having Guru, the importance of having a Guru, and what role does it play for a person, and how one can surrender to a Guru or get initiated.
So we're talking about Satguru, the spiritual Guru.
Yes.
That can, somebody that you have this experience or belief that can guide you to liberation, or can himself liberate you, free you from material existence. From my understanding, it is essential, but it's going to be revealed. Even though it looks like mainly in India, there is a market of gurus. No? You can go to the Kumbh Mela and you can choose your guru.
Right.
You take this camp or that camp, that tent or that tent, that ashram, that ashram. But in truth, you cannot choose your guru. You can go inside, go to that place and try to feel. Connect to your heart, not to your mind, and try to feel what is going on in there. You're gonna know it's not your place here and there. And when you find your place, there's no questions.
Okay. It comes from within. Okay.
You know you have come home. You know I'm waiting for lives to meet this being again. That's when you found your Sadguru. You have this feeling. For many lives, I've been looking for exactly that teacher. And if you don't have this feeling inside of you, don't stress. But this guidance is necessary for us to attain the let's say the top spiritual position that you can attain in your life. Without a guide, without somebody who is already there and can guide you there, without somebody who can make this path easier and helps you with your own issues and with your own karma and everything, we just walk like a blind person in the crowd without direction. That's all. You cannot have your foot in two boats, one feet in that boat and a feet in that boat. One boat goes to that direction, the other goes to that direction, you fall in the water and you have no direction. You have to have one at certain point in your life. You have to sit in one boat if you want to reach that paradise island. Even though different boats might have different ways to that island, you cannot sit on all of them at the same time.
Right.
So that's why you need that boat. The boat is the guru.
Right.
How is that Bhajan? Jai Jai Guru Raja Maharaj. Bhavasagara ke. Forgot the words now.
Is it Bhavsagar ke paar?
Yeah, like the guru is the one who drives you
you.
over the ocean of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Bhavasagara.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Bhavsagar ke paar. I'm probably just trying to put the
Hamar
right.
Bhavasagara ke pad. Forgot the word. Anyway, there's a specific guru Bhajan that say the guru is that boatman that drives you from over the ocean of existence to that place where you want to be. You cannot hold into all of them or into different boats. There's one that you already belong to him. You already belong to him. Because the guru is the representative of God, at least. If he's not God himself or a piece of God himself, at least he's the best friend of God. This real guru that eventually you will find in your life or in some life.
Right.
And your soul is waiting for that to go there. It's the natural process.
Yeah, because in this world of, as you said, there's a whole market out there in India. People get mainly they get I guess they get alerted when they hear the word guru. They kind of think that it's always negative because there's so much negativity around the media, social media about
Also
the
in
gurus.
Europe and everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they hear the word guru and they think that, okay, this guy is gonna, just here to
He's a cheater. He wants my
cheater.
money. He wants
He wants the
everything.
money. Yeah. But with your experience, you also have experienced the power of having a real guru and how majorly if it affects your life in a positive way. Is why I was asking you this, so that people don't get really scared of or run away from it. I'm pretty sure that there are people who kind of cheat them and
there is so many out there.
There are so many, but you have to be. I mean, you always will come to know, as you said, it comes from within, and you come to know if that's your guru. So don't stop looking for them, but don't even get, I guess, dejected if you still don't find one.
But saints and gurus, they behave often in ways we don't understand. So if you have a bad experience and want to leave, in a place you visit, leave, but don't be negative, don't judge, because you never know if you met actually a real guru or not. Your mind cannot judge the guru. If something's beyond your understanding, beyond your mind cannot grasp it. It can be that you went to a place, somebody who he said he was a guru, he cheated you, he just wanted your money, finish it. Can be. Maybe you didn't understand. Maybe he was acting like an Avadhoot, like that, like a crazy person, in order to pull you away because he doesn't want you there. Or maybe he just wants to give you a lesson. So personal guru aparad is very heavy. Like sadhu aparad is very heavy. It's not good.
Right.
It's bad for the person who
does
commits it. And it's always better anyway if we don't judge people. So you are unhappy there, you don't want to leave, leave. But then free your mind from that. Don't be negative, don't be judging, don't be criticizing. Because you never know who you met, actually. That's all I would suggest to people.
Times when you've traveled to India, like, do people like kind of, come to you and they're like, oh, he's a foreigner and he's become a guru? Do they give you? I'm sure they get happy. They feel really happy when they look at you because you're like kind of promoting the Hindu religion and things like that. But you also get sometimes people asking you how, why, what.
Sometimes there's negative criticism that I find more in the internet, not live.
Okay.
Normally when people come to talk, they are happy, they are genuinely happy. And in some specific places in India, people just even recognize us because of the Kirtan videos and the satsangs. And it was a funny story. I'm even ashamed to tell it actually, but I was in Vrindavan and then I see this family there. I was in Loy Bazaar, is the main street, shopping street of Vrindavan. Have you been to Vrindavan?
No, I've not. That's
shame on you.
Shame on me. Shame on me.
With a name like that, it's the place of Prema Bhakti.
Shame on me for sure. But I think I'm destined to be there when you're there. So
November.
November, yes.
So right. Good. I was in the shopping street of Vrindavan, and there is this mother and two kids, and they see me and I'm with two other friends, and they look very shy. The girl becomes red, and then they come to me and start like, "Hey, can I make a picture with you?" I said, "Yes, of course." And then she unblocks her phone, and her picture, like this screensaver of her phone, is me playing guitar with long hair, like old picture in some video. And it's crazy how this Bhajan videos go through
this
spread and it's very beautiful.
Right.
So people actually, so many people recognize and they come already being very grateful for the service that we do for Sanatana Dharma itself. Yesterday, I made a live stream with an Indian guru and singer, a very special person, Parvati Baul, from West Bengal. So she's from this Baul tradition of West Bengal, singing spiritual poetry and things. And she's coming to sing the Just Love Festival June 29th, the last Saturday of the festival. The festival is 10 days long.
Right.
So she came to me on the live stream and she was like, "Oh, Aaradhakananda, I see your videos since the pandemic." And I was like, "What? I watch your videos for 10 years. How can you tell me you watch my video? That's not right." I was so ashamed. And then she said, "Oh, I also Swami Vishwanandaji's videos. I watch all his discourses and everything." And it's so shocking to see how the tool of the internet. So people actually just get to know. You reach a certain place, people get to know about everything. So it's quite shocking. Check Parvati Baul's very beautiful.
Sure, I will be
singing.
Right, I will be looking into that. Also putting in the notes. So these has given you really fond memories of India. When you travel to India, people come and click pictures with you. You were talking about how people recognize you through your singing. I also should tell you that I recognize you from the time when you were singing in a song called Nita Gurai with
yes,
I think
Nita Gurai Radhesham actually.
Yeah, I think the singer was Meera. Yeah. And you were just playing behind. And yeah,
In the end of the bhajan, I sing something. Yes.
Okay, you sing something. Okay. I just saw you playing at the back and I recognized you a few days back. That I recognized him from those days. I think 2016 or
16 or 17, 16, yeah.
16, right. Yeah. And with long hair and things like that. So, just to understand, is meditation a big part of your daily practice, or it's just puja, japam, and sadhana happens when you have the time for it?
It is a daily practice. My time, my seva time, and other things that I have to do in the ashram might influence how long I will do them for. But it is 100% a daily practice. Yes.
Do you think people should meditate every day to have a clear mind, even if they're not into spirituality?
Yes.
And if you think they can, is there a way for them not to get in? If they don't want to get into the intense practice, is there a lighter way or a shorter way to do this?
Look, I think meditation is not simple if you don't have a guidance. So if you don't have a guide directly, I would start with the japam. Chant Om Namo Narayana Shri Vital Giridhari Brahmane Namaha. Chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chant, and if you need, you can take a japama or something like this. It's easier to calm the mind by chanting the name in the beginning. And then you can call the meditation, let's say you chant for 15 minutes. And then after deeply chanting, meditate for 2-3 minutes, just feeling the effect of the practice, for example. I would fully recommend everybody to meditate and learn some meditation technique. I would, of course, first recommend the one that I practice. I practiced some different before, and it's really amazing. Atma Kriya Yoga. But you need to learn, you need to take the classes, and if you don't have it, you cannot just sit and meditate. If you don't have a specific strategy, a certain visualization, pranayama, you don't calm your mind. You have to calm your mind, calm your heartbeat, and then you get to the place where you can actually meditate for a little while. The human mind is it's disgusting, actually. You cannot concentrate for 1 minute. It's already jumping somewhere else.
Right.
So without a technique, it's kind of a waste of time. So I would start with the Nama Japam and then learn something proper.
Right. You know,
Although
this is
Bhajan Kirtan has inside of your mind the same effect. In the outside, you are dancing, jumping, singing, and having fun and smiling, but inside of the brain is also a meditative effect.
right. We would definitely not leave you before you sing something for us today, but that will come at the end of the episode. But this is this very selfish question that I have, which I always have in the podcast, which is, um, what do you suggest for people who have a fear of losing things? Like you said that you have given up this material world, you've come into brahmachari, you're living in life as a monk in the ashram. It takes a lot to leave everything and get into this. What if people, have this fear of losing something? Even the thought of losing that thing has a fear. You know what I mean? Like even to think of losing something has a fear. So how can you, try to get your mind out of that fear, like losing something or the attachment of something?
I think there's two main points there. First of all is acceptance. To work on its on acceptance itself, because you cannot run away from the nature of this world. So there is fear, but face this fear eye to eye. When the fear comes, don't run. Accept that you will lose whatever you have in this world, because this world is not a fixed place. Nobody comes to this world to stay. Nothing comes in this world to stay. Everything comes and goes. So that's this world is like a train platform. People come and go, and nothing's gonna change it because it was created to be like that. So this acceptance is very important. And then understand the nature of your soul. If you want to go back to this, chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga, discrimination, the Sankhya, Vivek. So you're going to understand what is the difference between the soul and the body, the soul and the world around you, and understand your original relationship with that Supreme One. who has created your body. You cannot even say that he created your soul, because the soul is part of him. Your soul is a little part of him. You are as old and eternal as him, in essence. But in this material world, things have a beginning and end. So by meditating on that fact and studying important books like this fear starts to lose. But because this understanding has to come from inside out, and you have to repeat. You know, when you cut onion, there is many
Layers.
circles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to repeat and study as much as your consciousness move on until the center of your brain. If you read it once, you talk about it once, okay, I'm gonna accept it, I'm gonna die anyway. But it's just on the surface, it's not deep enough, it's not gonna have the practical effect. So understanding that, oh, I don't want to lose my father. And then you understand eventually, I love my father very much. But if he's sick, he'll be happier after he loses his body, because he's not gonna die anyway. Nothing can kill the soul. And then I will understand that actually he's my father in this life. Story of Abhimanyu, Mahabharata. But how many lives I had another father, and how many times I cried similar tears just to come back again and get attached again. So this sort of understanding is what washes us, like remove us from this, from the wrong attachments. Of course, you're gonna miss somebody that you like, but in fact, nobody dies. Somebody just travels to another place. I have friends that are living, that were my friends when I was a teenager, and they live in places, and most probably I'll never see them again. And there's actually no factual difference, because the soul just travels to a different place. Just like that friend of yours that is in a far country having a totally different life, and you're most probably not going to meet them again. So that's what you actually lose or gain. You actually never had anything to lose in the first place.
Yeah.
You never owned anything, because if you cannot change its transient nature, it means you don't own it. If you cannot make it belong to you forever, you never owned it. You just borrowed it for some time. There is this verse in the Aarti, Jai Jagadish Hare.
In the Aarti?
Tana mana dhana sab hai tera, swami sab kuch hai tera, tera tujhko arpana, kya lage mera, Om Jai Jagadish Hare. So, everything belongs to you. I gave to you what is already yours. Kya lage mera, what has ever been mine? Nothing is mine.
Yeah.
What I give to you is already yours.
Yeah.
Because I cannot own anything. In fact, if I just think a little bit about the nature of this world, I understand that I cannot own anything. It's just a game. It's gonna leave suddenly, and I have no control on it. I never had. So that's acceptance.
Right. Yeah, that was a beautiful glimpse of your singing as well as the Aarti. That portion is really touching. Yeah, it's like having some kind of awareness of death, uh, which we always ignore, obviously, for obvious reasons. We never think about it. Even though I remember last time we were talking and you spoke about how easily we forget the, the the awareness of death. Like we don't have it in our minds, even though it's the most obvious thing.
Yeah.
And we do forget about it. And we don't even want to think about it. um, well, what books do you suggest to read for people who want to read about spirituality, or any books that you have read the most? Of course, the one that you mentioned, the first book that you mentioned, which was very, very intense for you, was the autobiography of a yogi. But any other books apart from that that you think you would suggest, or you have gifted to most of people?
I have already talked so many times today about the Bhagavad Gita, so I think that's clear. That's my favorite version. There's a little essentials. It's a condensed commentary of Gurudev, because we have another version with like 900 pages. That's a condensed commentary, and it's very sweet.
Okay.
The Gita
And this
needs a
is,
commentary. If you read without commentary, you don't understand nothing.
yeah, you're right. I mean, I have read Bhagavad Gita a few times, but I think two times, but you're right. You need someone to explain this to you,
Yeah.
and the verses, because sometimes you don't understand the deeper layers of these verses.
And it's very well structured. The Gita is geniusly structured, like in groups of 6 chapters. There's a lot behind it, so we need somebody to explain. So okay, we already talked about those books. What I would my favorite things. So I'm not saying, oh, I recommend to you this that. I'm not gonna go there.
Right, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
you can say
my
that.
favorite things, saint books. So there's this writer called Kapoor. Maybe I have something from him here. Yes. There's no picture of this. This guy here. So the light is terrible.
Yeah, no, it's okay. All right.
His name is Kapoor.
Okay.
O-B-L Kapoor, and he
Okay.
wrote many biography of saints, and it's amazingly touching. So the one I have in my hands here is the Saints of Bengal.
Okay.
The Life of Love from him is amazing, by a saint called Radharani. There is Saints of Vraj, the Goswamis of Vrindavan. It's just the way he writes. It's really, I don't know, no words. I love it.
Okay.
Um, the Bhakta Vijaya by what's his name, Mahipati, I think.
Okay.
It's 13th, 14th century uh, recounting of the Maharashtra, mainly Maharashtrian saints, plus Kabir Guru Nanak.
Okay. It's like it's talking about Kabir and Tulsi.
It's also the life of Tukaram,
Okay.
Sendyaneshwara, Jayadev Goswami, and it's written like a scripture, like verse by verse,
Okay.
and it's also very, very nice. There's an English translation that they just call Stories of Indian Saints. That's how they titled the English translation. But the original name is Bhakta Vijaya.
Bhakta Vijay.
I would totally recommend everybody to read Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay. That is by
Um,
the Gita Press. So this is the one from Bhakti
I
Marg.
like very much Gita Press, very good. I like very much the version from Kamala Subramaniam, which is not in verses. She made like a storybook,
Right.
not verse by verse. So it's condensed a bit and very sweet to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are some things that I would totally recommend. If we have to go beyond Hinduism, I actually don't know.
No, not really. Just wanted to know your favorite books, not really into some different
Yes.
direction. But I think if these are your favorite books, then so be it. I think you were telling me last time that how important it is to read something that's meaningful and not something that
Yeah,
just
it's true. When I'm traveling here and I see the statistics, oh, European people, German people, they read, let's say, 60 books per year or 50 books per year, and you know, what a great number. Brazilians only read like 10 books a year, and then we see what they read. It's just nonsense. Crimes and dumb novels, and they just put trash in their brains in their books. In most of the books, not all of them.
yeah,
So make
read.
sure you read something that gives you something nice.
Yeah.
Something that was very impactful for me in the beginning of my life was also the from Swami Rama, Living with the Himalayan Masters. Very nice book. Amazing stories. Amazing stories.
Sorry, what name you said?
Living with the Himalayan Masters by
Okay.
Swami Rama.
Okay.
And of course, for my Guruji, I love very much the Gopi Gita commentary, the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of commentaries from Gurudev, but I like those especially very much. Guru Gita is very strong, but yeah, there's both. They kind of guide me. I go back to them again and again.
Right. Um, you know, this question is something really away from spirituality, but something that I want to kind of amalgamate with spirituality, because I think everything is weaved into each other. And I think all things in life are some way or the other intertwined. And Looking at the new technology, AI and social media and everything, how do you think it plays a very does it play a very important role? How do you look at the future of spirituality in the world of AI and all these upcoming technologies that are coming? Really, I mean, you can see it; it's very visual in front of everyone.
Mhm.
So you can talk about it a bit about that.
Okay. I think we already had thoughts on that. To recount, because it's not a simple analysis. I see the world definitely moving towards a direction, and you cannot bring it back. You cannot go the opposite. You can see there's a train moving,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot stop it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's positive. Maybe you can even go beyond and say it's not positive, not negative, because you have to take care about your own personal relationship with God. And here in Kali Yuga, when the brains are even more stupid than usual, God makes himself more merciful. You just chant a little bit, he comes to you. Satya Yuga, they say he has to do like hundreds of years of yagna to have a little darshan. Nowadays, if you chant sincerely, you already get something.
Right.
Um, that's how they explain at least the yugas in the scriptures. Um, so I see the world is evolving and is practically nice. You have every book, you have every knowledge in your mobile phone. You just have to write some search words and you have everything. You have the whole Gita, the whole Divya Prabandham, every verse. I just clicked it, I have everything. But this doesn't mean anything for 99% of the people in the world. So the people in the world mostly have constant access to things which are useless for the brains. And so many automations that people are lives are becoming more and more meaningless. And because of this whole automation of things, I see people becoming more depressed. I mean, Guruji also said that, and you can easily see when I compare my generation, when I was a child, I was born in 87, so I'm quite old already, I would say. And I lived a little bit of the world without mobile phone and without internet. And I can see how it was easier to have a healthy mind back then, in a certain way. Things were more simple in the outside. You go out, you play, and your mind is on the play. You play football, your mind is on the football. Now you have, through mobile phone and laptops and all the connections, you are being bombarded by information non-stop, whatever you are doing. You are never stopping from this bombarding of information, which is negative information. And you have to do less about everything. So people are becoming useless in many aspects of their lives. They don't know how to cook anything. They don't know how to boil water. They don't know how to fix anything. And this gives them deep depression. I can see people become depressed in life so easy because of this constant doing nothing or not needing to do things. You just sit on the computer and the brain's not happy. The chemicals in your brain are bringing you down. You're just sitting in front of a screen. You're not breathing fresh air. You're not walking on the greens grass. So that's why they will eventually find the healing for many sicknesses. They will eventually find how to wash your clothes quicker. They will eventually find how to travel faster from one place to another. But in the mind, is getting worse. In the mind, you have less balance. In the mind, you have less touches of happiness in your material life, in your outside life. So I see that AI is a tool that we have to use. Whatever, for sure, you mean also chat GPT pictures from like even crypto or NFT, all sort of stuff. I like to see what's going on in the world and understand that this can help somebody, a monk in spiritual life, an ashram, an ashram can invest into crypto and NFTs and basically pay all its bills if you know how to handle it.
Right.
But I have friends that live from crypto. They do nothing apart from change from one crypto to another, and they live their lives like this without any concrete work in the outside. It's a sort of a gambling, but they live fine.
Yeah.
You know. and I can ask ChatGPT to prepare a whole satsang Bhagavad Gita for me, and everything's all right. And it does, and I already tested, and of course it doesn't, has some feeling here and there, but it does. It gave you a whole structure if you want.
Yeah.
But it's like we talked about the mind before, is a uncontrolled horse. It's much, what I see is that it's much easier to get lost than to find yourself.
Yeah.
When you are among all these technologies, not that people find themselves before, but before at least they would live a normal middle life, which should not drag them down to depression. Now you lose yourself and you are dragged down to a meaningless life. You don't have anything that holds you healthy in your mind for most of the people. And it's a bit scary, but that's what I see in the new generations. They just like keep discussing and fighting about things that are just not important. And they forget the essence of everything. So it's a evolution, let's say. It's a development that we cannot avoid, and it can be used in a very positive way. But you need a background knowledge and a background experience on how to use this in a positive way. Otherwise, the tendency is that you just lose yourself in attachments and virtual experiences that are not bringing you the satisfaction from a normal relationship, actually. Do you agree with me, or you think I'm too extreme?
No, I think you're saying in the right direction, because I think I was just saying thank you for giving us this insight, because this can help a lot of people who probably can get into the wrong direction in life with these very easily available tools that we're talking about. But if they listen to this, and if this can give some value to them, in some way, and then take them to the right path, then I think this is the right way. And I think, if you ask me, if some kind of regulation happens on the AI, then it's always good for everyone. I'm not a pro-regulation guy, but I think sometimes you do need regulation, because that pushes people in the right or the positive direction. Yeah, so thank you for that. But even though it was not in the context of our conversation, it was totally out of the context. But coming back to spirituality, you mentioned about Kali Yuga and the yugas and everything. Could you give us a little insight about yugas, and people who would be interested about Vedas, how one can read about Vedas? And because honestly speaking, when I was personally trying to read Vedas, I really didn't get the right book, or it's not like you can pick up a book and you can start reading it and you can understand
You
everything.
cannot just go and read
Yeah,
Vedas.
yeah, you cannot just do that. So
I mean, you
could you
can,
give
but you're not
you
going
won't
to get
understand
anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
So could you give us a little insight, like how one can, or what are these yugas that you mentioned about, and how does it
Just first, if you want to read Vedas and understand, just you have to read the Upanishads.
Upanishads? Okay.
Or specific texts on the Rig Veda, which have more spiritual meaning than just like an ancient Vedic hymn, which is explaining to you how to do this yagna or this and that. Because part of the Veda is very practical for society from many thousands of years ago. But in the Upanishads, which are the end section of the Vedas, they all have philosophical meaning, and then you can start to get things that are actually nice for nowadays. And I would always suggest you to get commentaries like the Ramanujacharya. He wrote the Shri Bhasya, the commentary on the Brahma Sutras, which is piece of the Upanishads, which is a part of the Vedas. So Shri Bhasya from Ramanujacharya is where you can start if you want to get the Vedas, and then take the most important Vedic chants that the priests in every temple in India chant: Purusha Suktam, Shri Suktam, Narayana Upanishad, Narayana Suktam, Vishnu Suktams. Take the texts, which are Vedic texts, which are of extremely high importance, and get their meaning. And you can, like Purusha Suktam explains the creation in a poetic way, but it's very beautiful. Like it says how God is the Purusha, the controller of everything. In the beginning, only He exists, and then He wants to start creation. Then He explodes in creation Himself. But before He Himself explodes into creation, He starts, like, He wants to create a Maha Yagya, a Maha sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So out of him, the devas come. And then out of him, he takes pieces of himself. And this piece of himself are given to the devas that came out of him, so that this piece of himself can be offered into the fire of the yagna, to the manifestation of himself. And then out of this cosmic yagna from the devas, the world starts to exist. So that's this very beautiful explanation from the beginning of the Purusha Sukta, which is a small text. So also, yeah, so you can find those in specific Vedic texts.
Is this
If
a
you
part
just
of the Rig Veda? Did you just say?
Rig Veda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then the creation. Let's say you are talking to somebody who is interested in astrophysics and things like this. We are now discussing. From time to time, I go and see what they are believing nowadays.
Okay.
So they have this agreement that the Big Bang is the beginning of everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that just recently, they saw some galaxies which are too big. And they are much bigger than what they could be if the universe started when they believe it started with the Big Bang. So now they are understanding that probably the Big Bang is not only the beginning, but it's the end of something before. There was a new beginning, and it's going cycles. So they are themselves discussing it. And in the agamas and Vedic knowledge, there's something that's the Vaishnavas called vyuhas. Vyuhas explain how God actually, there's three vyuhas, prakashana, aniruddha, and sankarshana. So the first one, God, only he exists cosmically. Okay, there is no void because everything is full of him, but so there's no creation in the outside. Only he's, so let's say that's the only Bhagwan exists, only Purusha exists, but there's no material creation yet. He wants to experience himself. How can he ever experience himself? By manifesting material creation and putting himself in this material creation, so he experiences his own creation. And then he goes back into the union of himself. So like this, he can experience himself. So that's the idea behind it. And then in the first vyuha, God concentrates all his energy into one point. And then the second vyuha, he maintains it. And in the third vyuha, this pressure of all his Shakti into one point explodes in creation. And that actually is very similar to that one atom, whatever particle that exploded, and the whole density of the universe was in this almost invisible particle and exploded into the whole creation. That was the Big Bang. So that's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So when this creation happened, we understood from Sanatana Dharma, from Hinduism, that there's a cyclic.
Mm-hmm.
Creation starts, and then it goes into the cycle of many yugas, cyclic, until pralaya happens. Pralaya is when the material world gets destroyed and everything goes back inside the cosmic body of Narayana, of the Lord, and still exists, but dormant inside of him.
Okay.
The Vedas say just like like a spider can put out her web and then bring it back into her body. That's how God makes material world and then demanifests the material world. Still it exists dormant inside of him. So inside of the cycles and cycles and cycles, there is the 4 yuga cycles.
Okay.
And first one is Satya Yuga, where human beings are supposed to live very long lives and have direct connections to the devas, and if they are very lucky, attain the dash of Bhagavan.
Mm-hmm.
And the main sadhana was meditation, because people had time and peace of mind to sit for hundreds, at least, maybe thousands of years, they say.
Yeah.
Anyway, time keeps being relative because the world has been changing. When we say thousands of years, we don't know what kind of years they are talking back then. It's very different sort of calculation. But anyway, that's Satya Yuga. And then the next Yuga is Treta Yuga. You see, in the main avatars that came in Satya Yuga are the avatars that are half animals in their appearance, like Narasimha, Varaha, Matsya. Then you have Treta Yuga. Sorry. Yeah, Treta Yuga, where the Lord comes as Vamana, Parashurama, and Rama. And they start to have a human form in the transition to a human form.
Right.
Of course, God came as human or however he wanted the whole time, but it shows a little bit how the cycle of the planet has been changing. And in Treta Yuga, the main sadhana is yagya. You use yagya to communicate and to send your prayers to the Lord. Lord Rama being the most important avatar of Treta Yuga. After Treta Yuga, you come to Dwapara Yuga. In Dwapara Yuga, the mind starts to become more and more limited. Now, to meditate on God, you need a form. Without concentrating on the form, you cannot even meditate on God. So that's why in Dwapara Yuga, the main sadhana is puja and abhishekam. You have the murti, and then you worship the murti, and through the murti, you understand the cosmic God. You concentrate your mind on that form is also special. And that is going to free your mind into his cosmic form. Yeah. So that's Dwapara Yuga. Balaram, Krishna, they all lived in Dwapara Yuga. When Krishna died, the world entered Kali Yuga, where the mind is limited to the most miserable form. The human life is the shortest, much more diseases, much more sicknesses, much more illusion. Everything in the outside is more suffering. But through that, it becomes much more simple to realize God. So the main sadhana is Nam Japam, Nam in Sankirtan.
Like reciting names, mantras.
Yes. So that because it's the only way to control the mind in Kali Yuga. You should do yagna, meditation, puja, but without Nam Japan and Nam Sankirtan, your mind will not calm down. So that's the
4 yugas.
That's the 4 yugas. And then after Kali Yuga, you go back to Satya Yuga. And then the cycle happens as long as God wants. There is you're gonna find exact descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Vedas.
Correct. Thank you. And that book that you mentioned, the Bhagavatam that you're reading, the Bhagavad Gita, is the condensed form. Anybody can get it on Bhakti Marga.
You can call it, I can get anywhere, Amazon. It's called Bhagavad Gita Essentials.
Okay. Bhagavad Gita Essentials. Okay. This is, as we're coming to the end, we just want to talk to you about the path, the sect that you're following, which is basically Vaishnavism, but also I think you were explaining about how a little different it is from the ISKCON sect and the other ones. So could you give a little brief about that? Like what's the thought process and what's the philosophy behind that?
Sorry, what's the difference between us and ISKCON, for example? Or what
yes, like you were mentioning that there were four different types of Vaishnav.
Of Sampradayas.
Sampradayas, yeah, right. I was not getting the word, Sampradayas.
Yeah. The first Vaishnava who organized a lineage was Ramanuja. Before him, there was acharyas who were actually doing it, Yamunacharya and even Nattamuni himself, but they was not formally organized. So Ramanuja had to do it in order to refute some of the ideas of Shankaracharya.
Okay.
Because after Shankaracharya came, and importantly came in order to refute Buddhism, it's all a game. It's all a divine game. So that people give again importance to the Vedic texts and to temple and everything. Because the Buddhists said, okay, I don't need God, I just need nirvana. I find peace inside of myself. I don't need a Brahman, I don't need a Pujari, I don't need a temple. It was important because the temples were corrupt a little bit. So then Lord Buddha came. And then the king became corrupt because now I can become Buddhist. I don't need to have a guru. I don't need to have a astrologer, a priest, anything. I can just say that I'm a Buddhist and corrupt myself and sell myself to anything I want. And then it became too much. And then Shankaracharya came to this world, incarnation of Shiva himself, and said, okay, you are God himself, true, but bhakti is very important, worship is very important. The Vedas are actually important. Let's bring back the Vedas to the game. But then people took this way too far with I am God. And they forgot the relationship between, the loving relationship between you and God, that you don't want to become void and lose yourself. You actually don't become the void. There is no void. God is in everything. You want to attain this relationship of being eternal servant of him because you are part of him. Then Ramanujacharya came as the first Vaishnavacharya, the first after that cycle, because originally the Vedas have been interpreted as Vaishnava already before.
Right.
So, and then Ramanuja make the first Vaishnava Sampradaya. After Ramanuja, Madhava came, and Madhava wanted to go more strict into the dualism, into the soul and God being very separate. Ramanuja called his philosophy Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, which is a non-dualism, but with a qualification. You are God, but a part of him. Then Madhvacharya came and said, you are totally separate from God. Some souls, Madhva says, will not even attain God ever. So Madhvacharya brought to this extreme. The philosophy I follow is much more close to Ramanuja. Guruji had to make some later adaptations for his own sampradaya, which fit into the world nowadays. But it's basically in most of it just Ramanuja's philosophy, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. And then after Madhva, there has been Vallabha and Nimbarka and other acharyas that made their own variations. But it's basically, all the Vaishnavas are basically doing variations of Ramanuja's work, which brought us to the original position of understanding that the Atma is a part of Paramatma. You brought ISKCON into the conversation. ISKCON, so the philosophy was founded by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took initiation into the Madhva Sampradaya, but then he totally changed the philosophy into something which is much closer to Ramanuja than to Madhva himself.
Yeah.
And they call it Veda Abeda. Achintya Veda Abeda. So the soul is at the same time God and not God, and you cannot understand it. That's Achintya Veda Veda, basically. It's both at the same time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu create his own lineage of disciples, and out of this lineage, one of them created ISKCON 500 years later. But there's many lineages from this. We call Gaudiya Vaishnava. Gaudiya is a region in West Bengal, India, and these lineages they came from there. But it's not connected to my lineage at all, actually. Apart from the fact that we are all Vaishnavas.
Okay. As a whole, yeah, yes. As a whole, it's a part of Vaishnava.
All these people I talk about, they are Vaishnavas. So Ramanuja, Madhava, Nimbarka, Vallabha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so many other gurus that have come. And we are supposed to see each other as a great family. Yeah. We do fail, but we are a big Vaishnava family of lovers of God. And Guruji, in his satsangs, he reminds people a lot into studying the meaning of Narsimha Mehta's Bhajan, which was Gandhiji's favorite Bhajan, Vaishnava Janato. Because actually this really explains how a Vaishnava should behave. Narsimha Mehta was a great saint from Gujarat, and he will explain what is a Vaishnava there so beautifully. Okay. Like a Vaishnava is always compassionate. He feels the pain of others. He always wants to serve others. And he serves other human beings because he knows that God lives inside of that human being. So it's very beautiful put.
Right. Well, thank you for the explanation. I think we have some insight to that now. Before we wrap up this episode, I think we have touched upon many topics here. Thank you for your time. But
over 2 hours already.
Yeah, I'm sure we can keep talking, but as time is always a concern. Could you let us know a little about the festival that's coming, Just Love Festival, and what is it about? And anybody who wants to join in, how they can.
So first you can visit justlovefestival.org, O-R-G, and you can see the schedule. We have the festival happening this year now in 2 weeks starting. I mean, from this interview recording.
Right.
I don't know when you managed to actually release it. 21st July until 30th of July, 10 days of festival. And I'm gonna just say the name of some of this, some of the Indian artists which are coming.
Right. What is this festival about? Like, why do we have this festival?
This festival is for Bhakti Marga devotees, is like the climax of the year.
Okay.
Like, this is where all devotees come together. Normally Guru Purnima is close by, and Ashari Ekadashi is close by, and all devotees come together and have 10 days of Sangha, of Sankirtan, basically, and Prasad, and meeting Guruji, walking around up and down, and you have also workshops. Half of the people that come are not even devotees because it has become a big festival.
Right.
But for us, it's the climax of the Vaishnava life in a beautiful way of celebrating God, celebrating Bhajan, celebrating
spirituality. Yes.
Yeah, spirituality. We do make a little holy celebration out of season in normally, because people in Europe love Holi and we have a lot of fun just throwing colors around.
Like, okay. The festival Holi. Okay. Yes.
We do it in
during this time. Okay.
On the last Saturday, 29th. So we're gonna have here from India, from Mauritius, Mauritian Carnatic singer Devaraj Muthuswamy on the first Saturday on 22nd. And then we have Guruji will give darshan on the Monday. There's every day. I'm jumping a little bit, otherwise it's too much.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
And then we have from Vrindavan Acharya Narayana Gopal from Vrindavan, a beautiful singer, really nice singer, and give beautiful discourses on the scriptures while he sings. We have from Bhakti Marga Shankari Dasi. She's known from her videos a lot. Her videos has now like 30 million views. It's crazy.
Yes, I do know about her. Yes.
Yeah, she'll be singing on 27, and then we have Srivatsa Venkateswaran from Chennai, beautiful, like Bhajan Sampradaya style kirtanam. Haridas Swami have this South Indian dancing kirtanam. Have Manya Arora from Calcutta and Mumbai. She lives in both cities. Very nice singer, famous on YouTube. Parvati Baul that I interviewed yesterday, and Mechidi Thakur also. They are like super famous in India. And the last day I play with a band called Aaradhana. It's a kirtan band that I always support.
So you play with them on the last day?
Yes, on the last day.
Okay. So
there's actually I was just saying the names of some singers from the big stage. There's 2 stages. We have actually 20 artists for the big stage. There's a lot.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it's a long list, but people can see that on the Love Festival. .org that you mentioned
on their website. Yeah.
Yes, and they can also see how they can be a part of it if they want.
Hope you jump in the airplane and come. You can see us here. And you can record some new episodes with so many interesting people here.
I'm pretty sure that I have a few people on the list. Shankari Dasi is one of them, but definitely a lot of other people as well. Thank you for that invitation. I definitely hope I would love to be a part of it one day. Before we wrap this here, do you have anything that you would like to give out to the people who are listening? Any kind of words of wisdom that can improve their life in some way, or they can take away something from this?
If you are listening to this and you are from India, first of all, or from Indian diaspora country, I think many of your listeners are from those regions, since you are from there. I would first say never ever see Hindu culture or Sanatana Dharma as a pure cultural thing. That's no culture which is more beautiful than Sanatana Dharma. It's the only culture that can bring you God straight away. It's really it's mind-blowing. Don't take it as a political thing. Don't fall into politic fights. Yeah. Don't fall into its only culture. Study how many people from Bharat have experienced God and experienced amazing states of consciousness through the practices of Sanatana Dharma, and take it so serious. And for people of all over the world who are listening to that, make your day a little bit more positive. Yeah. Listening bhajans, doing nam japan, repeating mantra. Don't eat meat. Just stop that. Even chicken. Don't stop all of those things. It's so bad for you. It's really bad for you. It doesn't help you in anything. Yeah. And try step by step just to make your life more positive. It's going to make you more happy. It's going to make your mind clearer. It's going to make your relationships better. And if you change the place where you are. You change your environment, you change your family, you change your neighborhood. You cannot expect anything better from this world if you don't change ourselves. So be a little bit better every day. Consume positive content, read good books, listen to nice kirtan, practice kirtan, sing the names of God. And never be shy of doing this kind of things. People are not shy of being idiot negative people. Why you have to be shy to be positive? So just be really positive and boldly move on. That would be my simple message. And watch Guruji's videos. They are very, very nice.
For sure. Yes, be positive and don't be shy being positive. That's a great message. Thank you so much. But before we leave, could you please sing us something out of devotion, for something that you have your guitar there, and if you can sing anything that you want out of devotion to Lord or Guruji, or anything that you like. Can I ask you something that's probably very touching? Could you sing us something that I think you also mentioned this when we were talking earlier, that something that you sang for your daughter. I think that was very special. Even if it's okay for you, otherwise you can sing something else. But anything that can, stir some strings or heart.
Because I was singing this bhajan. Normally I don't sing this bhajan. I was singing this bhajan when she was born, and when she was passing away, I was in the car singing this at the moment she was passing away, actually. It's our bhajan from Vrindavan. For some reason, I always had this connection with this bhajan. And then,
but please don't sing it if it brings you.
It's okay. You're never gonna see me sing this in an event or something like this, because for me it just has a special meaning. But if somebody asks me to sing it privately, no problem, I can sing. But I just create this relationship with the bhajan that I keep this somewhere there between me and God, and that's all.
The reason I asked you is because I heard you sing last time and I was very touched by it, so it just moved me.
se barodi Radharani lage Maharani lage Mane karo karo yamuna jiro Pani lage Mane karo karo yamuna jiro Pani lage. That's basically it. And then there's some beautiful verses.
Nice. Could you add some other bhajan that you must have sang for the Bhakti Marga, just so that we end this with a very beautiful note?
Let's see. I should have brought some water here. Now I realize it. Just saying about this.
Sorry
such
to
a dry throat.
Sorry to put you through this, but I'm really being very selfish. Sorry.
I'm thinking about. I like this one. Simple. Everybody knows that. Krishna Murali Manohara Nandalala Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Krishna Murali Manohara Nandalala Gopala 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 Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Nandala Govinda Govinda Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala Nandala Govinda Govinda Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala Gopala Nandala, Gopala Nandala, Gopala Nandala. Just a trial.
That was
It is
amazing. Thank you so much. That was amazingly beautiful. I can
when
imagine
we
when you're singing
do
it.
for
Yeah.
somebody like me who is not born into a Hindi speaking place or whatever, Tamil, Telugu.
Yes.
So I do try to study Hindi slowly, and I'm a bit slow, unfortunately.
No, but I think
But
you.
when I sing something like this, I end up just singing Nam Kirtan. Otherwise, I have to check before. Nam Kirtan, just the name of God. Gopa, Nandalal, and then we cannot make something very wrong.
Right, I can understand. But no, it's amazing because I see how you have it's so difficult for someone to learn a language and then start singing in that language and singing the right script and the right words, the right pronunciation. It becomes very difficult. And you being a Brazilian, I'm sure you also learned German because you were in Germany for so long.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
We had
probably
to.
almost learning 3 or 4 languages at one time. It takes a lot of effort.
With Spanish, yeah, Spanish, Portuguese, English, German. And then hopefully, ek bar, Hindi, tora tora.
Hindi is also, yeah, I
Hindi
think.
katte हैं. मेरे हिंदी good नहीं है.
No, I think you sing really well. Thank you for that. It was amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better uh, wrap up here. And thank you
Thank
so
you, Prem. It
much.
was really, really nice talk.
Same here, Guruji. I would look forward to having many more conversations with you, more deeper ones,
Okay.
because I think we can have so many deep conversations in this context.
We
Thank
can
you again.
agree. We can agree that latest in November I see you in Vrindavan. Okay.
Definitely. And maybe before that in Germany. You never know.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And looking forward to seeing you again.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Hey, it's me again. And before you take off, I just want to thank you for staying with us till the end of this incredible episode. We truly appreciate your time and dedication in listening to this more than 2 hour long conversation. I genuinely hope this conversation has brought something valuable and meaningful to your journey. And our mission will be fulfilled if even one person's soul is touched in a positive way. We'd also love to know who you would like us to interview in the future episodes. So please feel free to drop us a DM on our Instagram. All the links and details can be found in the show notes. Once again, thank you for being a part of this amazing ride. Stay positive, stay healthy. This is Prem, and I shall see you soon.